What if I told you that your life isn't just a single straight path, but a choice you're constantly, actively making from an infinite number of possibilities? Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating framework that uses the language of physics to try and map the soul's journey. This is resonant timelines, the soul's frequency.
So let's just start with a really big question right off the bat. Are you living your only possible life? Or is the reality you're in right now just one of countless potentials, all just waiting for you to tune in? Believe it or not, the answer to that question might be found right here. This image, it's more than just art. You can think of it as a kind of map of the soul's journey, and it even has its own symbolic equations. We're going to use this as our guide to navigate this huge ocean of possibility. Okay, so to really understand how we choose a timeline, we have to start at the very beginning, with the foundation of this whole idea, what we're calling the quantum soul. The first big idea we need to wrap our heads around is something called superposition. Okay, imagine a coin spinning in the air. Until it lands, it's kind of both heads and tails at the same time, right? Well, this framework takes that idea and applies it to our entire lives. It suggests that your soul exists as a combination of all possible lifetimes, all at once. Every choice you could make, every path you could take, it all exists as pure potential, right now. And our map here visualizes this so perfectly. You see these swirling paths at the top? They're not just for decoration. Each one of those represents a potential timeline, a whole different life you could be living, and they're all coexisting at the same time in this state of pure potential. So, if all these paths exist out there, how does one of them become your reality? Well, it's not random. It's not just a roll of the dice. This framework suggests it's all about probability, which is determined by what it calls resonance and connection. Think of it like a kind of cosmic attraction that pulls you toward a specific outcome. And that attraction, that brings us to the actual how, the mechanism of choice, which this calls the cosmic frequency. This is what explains how one timeline actually gets picked out of that infinite sea of potentials. The absolute key factor here is frequency. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like tuning a radio. When your personal frequency aligns with the frequency of a certain timeline, the probability that you'll experience it goes way up. But if they're misaligned, that probability drops. It's simple, really. You can't tune into a classical station if your dial is set to rock and roll. But what is this personal frequency? Where does it come from? Well, that's what the map calls vibration. It's the energy that we are constantly emitting. According to this framework, our internal state, our emotions, things like love versus hate, that is what literally tunes our reality. Our feelings are the tuning knob on that cosmic radio. Now, this isn't just about randomly jumping between timelines just because you can. There's a purpose to it all. And this brings us to the ultimate goal of the journey, the ladder of learning. This upward journey is described by two main concepts. First, there's the transition rate, which is basically how fast the soul can shift between these timelines. But the really important one is something called transing. Yeah, it's a strange word, but it just represents the soul's upward spiraling journey of learning across all of these lifetimes. It's a process of conscious evolution. And our map just captures this idea so beautifully with the ladder of learning. You see this spiral? It represents the soul's cumulative growth. What that means is every experience, every lesson from every potential timeline gets encoded and carried forward. In this model, nothing is ever wasted. The source material itself just says it perfectly. The idea of cumulative learning encoded in the potential, that's pretty profound. It means that every single possibility, whether you actually live it out or not, still adds to your soul's ultimate wisdom. So, if your internal state, your vibration, is truly the tuning fork for your reality, then the only question that really matters is this one. Which timeline are you resonating with right now?